Welcome, welcome. This is very exciting that you're here with me, and thank you very much. I got up in the middle of the night to sit here and chat with you. Being able to conversate with someone from across the world is pretty special. And thank you so much for, just jumping in and being responsive to doing an interview together, because what you've done is pretty outstanding and exciting.
One of the messages, when we can do hard things too.
Yes.
Reach all the way to you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually like the really special part, to understand that like where you are in the world physically, you can still reach so many people around the world and inspire not just like one person, but actually like generations of people. Because, even like my little girl, for example, she's so awestruck as well with you. And so I just wanted to ask you a couple questions. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, tell me, you're a mom of 3. So tell me about your 3 children, how old they are, and what they think of all of this.
This is a boy, he's 6. My middle daughter is going to be 5 on Monday. I'm so excited. I mean, I just love kids' parties. And then my youngest is 2.
Aww.
So
yeah, that's so exciting. 2 years old. So you must have been training basically when you were before pregnant, and then during pregnancy, were you training? And then how long after were you always into ultra running?
2010, I did my first ultra. So it's been a while, 15 years, but it's not linear. Nothing is. And I've had 3 children in the meantime. And so 3 pregnancies, and your body changes massively during pregnancy and after pregnancy, and the demands of being a new mom, and then the demands of work, and then I went through a divorce and then moved house, and so all of these factors, I have done ultras for a long time, but it's not been consistent because life is the really important, really incredible things, take priority as well.
And so were you always athletic growing up? Like, did you do other sports, or was this something that, you kind of came back to, jumped in and realized, like, I love this, I'm good at this, and I'm going to see where this takes me?
It's a really good question. I guess I wasn't particularly sporty at school. I was the girl who always got the note from her mum to say, this is the reason why my daughter can't, go to a swimming pool, because I never wanted to wear a swimming costume. Who does when they're like 12 years old? Yeah. I did bits in school, but it was really only after I moved from Scotland to London with work, when I first qualified as a lawyer, and I was finding it super stressful, and it was super stressful. And a boyfriend at the time, he ran, and he said, just try it, because actually, in terms of like being avenue to really let all of those stresses of the day out, it's great. And then from there, I really never looked back.
I love what you said. I was reading and digging through all of your, of course, and even some of the older ones, and you really are a remarkable woman, and I love all of your advice, namely the pain cave that you referenced, being able to find just comfort and relax into the pain, and then that kind of gears you through some of the harder chapters of the races. Tell me about your pain cave in this race that you just ran, winning 17 hours.
So Courtney Dollwater is an absolutely remarkable, incredible American ultra runner. And the pain cave analogy comes from her. So she talks a lot about the kind of like psychology of running, and it applies to every other aspect of your life, right? Nothing is easy 100% of the time. It's almost anticipating that I'm not just going to ride for 100 miles and have a jolly old time for 100 miles. I'm going to find bits of it really, really hard. And it's about knowing that is going to happen and trying to anticipate how you respond to that. And I haven't necessarily got it right, but it is almost half the battle, knowing that actually it is going to hurt and I am going to feel a bit rubbish. And it's actually, do you know what? It's like my sister says to me, and she says to me all the time when I'm any kind of, life stress is just like getting on top of me. She says, you know what, Anna, everything's a season and it'll pass and everything will pass. And then you'll look back and you'll think, why on earth was I this stressed about, I don't know, anything? And it can be something really small, but in that moment, it feels massive. And it's exactly the same with running, that actually just recognize you're in a moment. In 5 minutes' time, you'll probably feel fantastic. And so that was kind of playing a lot on my mind as I was running to try and kind of help me through those miles.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so how does it feel though in this latest run? You ran 100 miles, 17 hours, 23 minutes, and you were 2 hours ahead of the first male, which is really the reason why I pressed send on your invite, because I love these stories. I grew up as a little sister to two professional athletes. My eldest sister is a two-time Olympian, silver medalist in rowing for Canada. And my other sister is a world-class elite cyclist and was always faster than the majority of men. And there were many a times, depending on who was racing, of course, who was at the races, but there are many times where Leah is just simply the champion and was so fast. And I absolutely love that. So tell me more, though, about your experience being the leader of the entire pack.
So I love that. And what a positive story and positive role model, because you know what? We're not little men. We have our own unique needs and we have our own unique hormones and things going on in our body that actually we can use to our advantage. And there is a lot of science behind as the event gets longer and longer, women really can come into their own, and being part of the story, helping close that gap between men and women racing. I absolutely love that. Out of my 3 children, 2 of them are girls and they're so young. And if I can inspire them at all to say, you know what, you can do anything you want in life. You have to put the work in. Of course you do. You need to work hard. You need to really want it. But if you really want it, you can do it. And I will help you achieve whatever you want. And that is a really, really important message to me. There's an old advert that interviews, I think it was for a soap brand, but it interviews young girls and boys. And it says, what does it mean to run like a girl?
Oh, yeah.
And the older one is like, what means this? And the 3-year-old girl is just like, it means to run really, really fast. And at what point in life does actually saying you've just done it like a girl, at what point does that become negative? Because you know what? I've done it like a girl and I've smashed it. I've done it like a girl and I've beaten all the boys.
Yay! I love that so much. So much. And I really think that what your message is can change the world, really. Because everything that limits us is a state of mind. And you're proving that, right, through and through. So what is next for you? Do you have another race that you have set your eye on, or?
No, I don't. Do you know what? Like, I am enjoying being special. I'm 43, I'm perimenopausal, I'm on HRT, I've got hormones all over the place. I'm nothing special. And I have lots of, like most people, there are so many parts of my life that are wonderful, but demand my time in a really positive, fantastic way. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a lawyer, I work full time, I have 3 children, and at the moment, I'm just loving doing a bit more cooking, a few less fish fingers, a few more kind of snuggles on the sofa rather than going into the gym. That for me is kind of what's taking up my 100% at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it.
What kind of preparation did you do in the gym as far as resistance training and all that specialized gearing up for this last race?
Yeah, so it's 5 hours strength training, and it was, basic strength training. It was your basic movements, kind of like your squats, your lunges, your presses, your kind of basic 5 strength movements. quite a lot of kind of single leg type work. I tended to go more higher reps, lower weights. Just that's how it kind of favors more towards running. I don't necessarily need the biggest muscles in the world. It's just to kind of build up some muscle strength. And it's especially important for women, and it's especially important as women get older. And then running was, up to 120 miles a week, and just trying to fit it in where I could, to be honest, because it's hard to fit that in. Obviously, I can't do it first thing in the morning because I can't leave the children at home by themselves. It was, babysitters late at night when they're already asleep. It was, trying to cram it in, like lunch breaks, or trying to use your commute to run, and, anywhere I could cram it a few miles in, I'd be there.
I had a question about fear. It's something a lot of women deal with on the regular basis, just because of, the way that life is, especially as a runner, going out training on your own. And I immediately thought of you passing the male competitor at mile 50 and then running 50 miles by yourself. And I wanted to ask you how you conquered that fear of not only being a woman in a runner's alone for 50. I don't know if you were really alone, because I'm sure there were people, but 50 miles alone. I mean, it's really strong, to be able to conquer that kind of challenge. How did you do that?
So for me, I really enjoy my long run. Was always about somewhere between 50 and 60 miles. So you're talking up to 12 hours out on trails. And I was always by myself, and I could spend 12 hours not seeing a single person. And there is something very special about just being out in the mountains with yourself and your own power to kind of get you through whatever the next section of the route is. And nothing else matters. All the stresses of the fact that there was no milk in the fridge and all, you just forget about it all, because the only thing that matters is, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Where's my next stream to top up on water? Do my feet hurt? What's the weather doing? Am I going to make it to this point before I need to put a head torch on? That's like the only things that I'm thinking of. And I find almost being in that running bubble really cathartic. I always say there's no problem you can't solve on a nice 4-hour run. You go out for a long run, by the time you come back, you've talked yourself around to what actually the solution is. And that space, that real thinking space, I absolutely love.
Yeah, that's actually great advice. I read just somewhere recently that even if you work all week long, the long hours, you're investing yourself into your career, that on the weekend, if you can, to take 3-4 hours off just for thinking, just to kind of like everything, like to detach. And essentially, this is what you're doing when you're running. So,
yeah, and I wish I could do it when I'm not surrounded by phones and children and TVs. I wish I could. I wish I had the strength to do that. But I find myself scrolling through Facebook at the same time as watching TV and brushing my daughter's hair. And that's the opposite of like this kind of mindful state that I'm able to achieve when I'm running. Because when I'm out there, I very rarely listen to music, or I'll sometimes listen to an audiobook. But normally it's just me out there with nothing. And it really forces you to concentrate your mind. And it does make me think, I could get so much better at that in my day-to-day life, even if I think I'd have to practice at it and work at it, because I do find that even the times I go, right, I'm just going to be mindful for a few minutes. I'm not. My mind is going, I got something in the oven. Does Ella need a bath tonight? Because I can't remember. And did I brush their teeth today? And all of that is going on in my head. And somehow it just clears when I'm out in the trails.
Yeah, I think that you're doing amazing. You're setting a really great example. I love that Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 was your theme song. Yeah, it is. I'm going to send you a recording later. I actually started my career as a singer. And I have a recording of me singing 9 to 5. So I will be sharing that. Yeah, when I heard you say that, I was like, I immediately went and looked it up, and there it was sitting there. So I will do my best to send it over, make it even part of the episode. Thank you so much. I want to know for any advice that you might have for women who may or may not even be a runner or anything you just want to share and extend to all of our listeners, words of advice.
Do you know what? The only limits are the ones you place on yourselves. You know, we can do hard things. It's what I say to my 6-year-old when he gets frustrated because he can't do something. He's like, we can do hard things. We can. We absolutely can. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to running specifically, don't give up, because the first 10 minutes of any run, doesn't matter if you're a professional athlete, the first 10 minutes are always awful, okay? Always. They're terrible. You can't breathe. They're awful. And you feel like you want to collapse and die. Just get through the 10 minutes and suddenly it'll just feel like a completely different run and you'll feel like a completely different person.
I always tell my daughter, it's not impressive if it's not hard. It just really isn't. I mean, if I picked up a 2-pound weight and was doing reps with that, I always say, would you be impressed? And she'd be like, no. And so, like you're saying, it really is important for us to understand, feel confident that even if it's hard, even when maybe the, statistics are against us, even that the champion can still be inside us. And it was certainly in you in this last week. So congratulations again. Very excited. Thank you very much for joining us. And for anyone who wants to learn more about your story, I'm going to put up a feature in my blog. And I hope we keep seeing lots of more posts about you winning more races.
Thank you so much for having me.